And now, it's time for Southern California's sports fishing voice. Let's talk hookup. For the next 2 hours, join Pete Gray, Rock Cod Rick Maxa, Corey Sandin, and this week's special expert guest for fishing information, new techniques to catch more fish, and the most current scoop on what's happening in the water. Let's Talk Hookup is sponsored in part by Ford, the official truck of Let's Talk Hookup, and Shimano Rods and Reels. Fish with the best. Shimano. Get ready for the fastest 2 hours on radio with the hosts of Let's Talk Hookup, Pete Gray, Rock Cod Rick Maxa, and Corey Sandin.
Good morning, anglers, and welcome to Let's Talk Hookup. Man, do we have a great show coming for you today. Captain Frank Preste of the Royal Polaris is going to be joining us. We're going to be talking all kinds of great fishing. There is some great things going down, some excellent bluefin, some great long-range fishing, local and more. You stay tuned. You're listening to Southern California's sport fishing voice. This is Let's Talk Hookup on the Let's Talk Hookup app, Facebook and YouTube Live, and the Sports Grid Radio Network. Everyone has their go-to fishing spot. My spot is Kingfisher Charters in Sitka, Alaska. Rock Cod Rick here to say if you're looking for the ultimate Alaska experience and the best value in Alaska, it's Kingfisher Charters. Owner Seth Bone and his crew consistently deliver deluxe accommodations, the finest food, world-class fish processing, and top-of-the-line fishing experience. We've literally sent hundreds of our listeners to Kingfisher, and they all can't wait to go back. Most Alaska resorts make big promises, and they don't deliver, or they'll nickel and dime you to drive up the cost, but not Kingfisher. Everything is included. Your license, fish processing, super deluxe accommodations, amazing food, airport transfers, your gear. Literally all you need to bring is your layer clothing, and Kingfisher covers the rest. They also have the finest boats and charter captains in Sitka, all for the ultimate value. Take it from me. Book your trip to Kingfisher Charters and you'll thank me. Kingfisher Charters, 800-727-6136, or check kingfishercharters.com.
If you're into saltwater fishing, listen to this. Saturday, November 2nd, it's Tackle Day at Fisherman's Landing in San Diego. Hi, this is Doug Kern. We are pulling out all the stops on this one. Over 20 manufacturers reps like Shimano and Power Pro. Check out all the Shimano and Power Pro product we have, like the all-new Talica A Series reel. Backed by popular demand, the Shimano Tranks Casting Contest. Cast a Shimano Tranks 500 and a Shimano Terramar 90H rod and show your surface iron casting skill. You'll see Shimano Terramar is the perfect rod to handle tough fish. The secret is TC4 blank construction. Match your Shimano Terramar rod with the Shimano Tranks 500 reel. Shimano's X-Ship and HEG technologies in the Shimano Tranks combine to provide massive cranking power with a smooth and effortless retrieve. It's our biggest sale of the year, Tackle Day at Fisherman's Landing. Unbelievable pricing on tackle, clothing, and accessories. Saturday, November 2nd.
If there's one thing we like, it's choices. And your San Diego County Ford dealers is the place to start. With a full lineup of vehicles and available powertrains. Get your ideal combination of power and capability with gas, hybrid, or all electric. But more important than the power you choose is what you choose to do with it. Visit your San Diego County Ford dealers today. They'll be glad to hook you up.
All right, welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup.
I gotta share exactly what just happened because it gave me such a chuckle. We obviously have Captain Frank Preste in here this morning. It'll be lots of fun. And Frank, your exact words were what?
What is Pete researching now?
I loved it. Well, we are on, believe it or not, our 30th annual Let's Talk Hookup Palmas de Cortez tournament and trip down in the East Cape. It's been 30 years of
So what is there to research after 30 years?
Well, things change, as we all know. You gotta keep up on it.
Like Christmas Smokey said yesterday, a hurricane came through last night.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
It was Hurricane Pedro.
They are having a great time and some great fishing down in the Cape. Sounded like very good yellowfin tuna fishing for the guys. Lots of Dorado, a little bit of wahoo. I know the Los Cabos billfish tournament just wrapped up yesterday. There was a couple of really nice fish. It's been a lot of years years of those big marlin tournaments in Cabos not seeing the larger grade of fish. A lot of them have a qualifying weight of 300 pounds, and all the marlin need to be released that are sub that. A few years ago, it was tough to find a qualifier. Now there's lots of big fish around and lots of money going around. It's been fun. That's fun exciting. Down there in the Cape, and it's been the same type of fun that's going on this fleet up here, because dang, there's some great fishing going on. It's October. You
know what, this year it's just been amazing. It just seems like there is good fishing all the way from Alaska to below Cabo.
Crazy.
It's just an amazing year of good fishing everywhere, in my opinion.
And it's been really fun. It's been really fun to watch the season and the style of fishing transition from one thing to another. When it was big kite fish, and then there was all that great nighttime jig fishing, and that has given way to very traditional daytime, put the anchor down and cast out a sardine and hook a tuna. And there's been a lot of options this year, and still are.
So Shogun got in this morning at 5 a.m. with 76 fish, and they were all, I'd call them 28 to maybe a few were around that 40 pound.
Nice.
28 to 40 pounds, and on the anchor all day long.
Sunshine.
Keeping anywhere from 2 to 3 going all day long.
Oh, man.
That's nice, steady fishing.
We got a chance to hear from Captain Mike Pritchard on the Tribute yesterday, and they were having a great morning also. He said a relatively light load charter group. He said they only maybe had 20 guys on board, and there was only 10 guys on deck because half of them were eating breakfast, and 7 of those 10 were all pulling on fish at the time. And sounds like the same thing, just great, kind of stealth fishing, lighter line and smaller hooks and getting bites. And with that, you break some off, and there's a story of heartbreak and the story of triumph, and it just sounded like it was a really fun day of fishing.
Then you go to the wahoo fishing. What was it? I believe Jonathan hit 190 on his last trip.
Oh, man.
Wow.
And this trip, Trevin's running the boat. It's our limited load. There's 19 people aboard, and I think he's got 87 wahoo.
Oh, my. For 19 guys.
Yeah, for 9. Half of those guys are older than I am. That's old.
And so with that many fish, 190...
Well, that was the trip before.
But that's a lot of fish hooked and lost. And
you think you lose one now and then?
That's a lot of activity, man. That's some good wahoo fishing.
It was awful good fishing.
Yeah. What?
Awfully good fishing. And the tuna, the other thing is, in fact, Trevin told me the other day, day before yesterday, 2 days ago, something like that, he was encouraging the people to break off the tuna because they're hooking these tuna on the jigs, and they're 70 to 90 pounds.
Working them.
And that's working a guy with 40 pounds. So that would be my number one thing that I would suggest to people. And I've always said that. If you can, fish your wahoo with 50 pound. Right. Because when you pull on a bigger fish with 40 pound, 50 pound makes a huge amount of difference.
It's just the bubble. It's like that bubble size.
That's right. But he had people breaking off their tuna so that they could go fish wahoo.
Wow.
Otherwise,
think about that.
You hook an 80, 100 pounder, and there's some at 100 pounds.
Sure.
You hook one on 40 pound test, and you're going to drift for an hour. So
that's crazy.
So it is crazy.
And then, it's no problem to quote unquote break them off, because if you need another tuna, you're going to go right back and we're focusing on wahoo, and you need tuna. They put the anchor down on those. Has there been a bite that's been that consistent with that great a fish down there in a while?
Yeah, we had a bite on wahoo. What was it, about 4 years ago, where we caught them all the way to the end of January.
Oh,
remember the guys going down on long trips? We're catching 100 to 150 of them right at the rocks for one day.
I got to be there during that, and it was so good for us, and timing was such that we stayed, typically on your way down to wherever you're going to go. Yeah, we stayed there. It's like, that's the oldest rule. Don't leave them to find them. And
that is the oldest rule. I have to remind some of my guys of that. You don't leave fish to go find fish.
Well, it's certainly been a fun year, and some great fishing that's going on. How long of a trip is the RP on that's getting into that action? Like, what are the
RP's on a 10-day, and he picked up a handful of wahoo yesterday on the 13th, so it looks like some wahoo's starting to move in there.
Oh, great.
You got to remember last year, and every year is different, but last year November was the best wahoo fishing.
Yeah.
And this year it's been wide open at Aleos. It's just been amazing fishing. And the tuna fishing, I've never, ever, ever seen tuna on the ridge this consistent in quality. Now,
Ever.
The quality is dropping off a little bit to where it's only 30% or 40% of 40 to 70 pound fish, and the rest are 25 to 40. But that's still great fishing. I mean, we never used to catch consistent 50 to 70 pound fish. And for a while, it was 80, 90% 50 to 70 pound fish.
That's amazing.
And it's been going on for 2 months.
I'll tell you one thing that the Royal Polaris is doing such a fantastic job of is really keeping us up to date via social media, whether it be videos or photos from the day on Instagram and Facebook and all those things. And it's such a fun, I mean, you get a little glimpse of being there every day, and whoever is, compiling all that, seeing guys catching, big blow-ups on poppers from that great yellowfin tuna fishing that you're talking about, or wahoo coming over the rail. It's been really fun, and you can tell that there's a lot of effort being put towards it, because there's really fun updates that we get shared with every single day.
Well, most of that's due to Jonathan Yamati. And, right now I'm in the stage where, I kind of have to pinch myself, because all 3 long-range boats have great chefs. We get nothing but compliments and great crews. And every trip, I mean, the Shogun's really kicking butt.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, they're doing a hell of a job. And Renee is just 100%. And he was off this trip, but they still came in with 76 fish, and Jonathan is doing such a phenomenal job on the Royal Polaris. It's never, I don't know if the boat's ever been happier than it is now. Crew and
amazing.
The whole bit.
So it's so cool having Jonathan involved. I mean, watching him grow up at Seaforth and just a part of the family there, and
he's
it's pretty cool.
He's doing a heck of a job. And then you got to give a bunch of credit to Trevin too. He's an amazing young man. Anyhow,
and the Polaris Supreme also firing on all cylinders.
Polaris is doing great. I can let people know that first of all, Shogun's got 7 openings on that trip leaving October 20th.
Right, on the Let's Talk Hookup trip.
That's a 7-day or 8
It was a 6-day. Right, now it's become a 7 to take advantage of that great fishing that you were talking about earlier this morning.
That's correct. So that's a 7-day, and it's only got 17 people on it, so it's limited to 24, so there's 7 open.
And it's a very attractive price, too. That trip was a 6-day, added to a 7-day, and the additional cost, you guys solely covered a little bit of cost of food and things. You didn't add what would normally be an extra day's price. You're basically getting a 7-day trip for virtually what the cost of a 6-day would be.
Anyhow, that's going well. People should be aware of the fact that both on the Royal Polaris and the Shogun, Supreme's full for the Christmas trip. And now that Christmas trip last year was just phenomenal.
Yeah. Has
been for at least 5 or 6 years in a row on bluefin, and the last 2 years bluefin and yellowfin. So, it's an awful good time to take your son or your daughter and get on a short trip.
There's been speaking of yellowfin, we got a little chance to talk about it yesterday. There was a little bit of void of it in our closer local zone that we're used to. And I don't know if it's a sign of more things to come or if it was just a little bit that was here. But some of our customers on the private boat world and like those local banks, 425 and 371 and 300, have seen some really nice yellowfin on dolphin schools. It hasn't been huge numbers fishing, but boy, to be on a local trip on your skiff and troll your cedar plug through a pot of dolphin and catch a 50 or 60 pound yellowfin local is sure something special.
When you say it's been a little bit of a void, it's actually been a big void. There hasn't been, there's a little sprinkling of Dorado. There's only been a sprinkling so far of yellowfin. But just in the last 3 or 4 days, there's been some really nice spots of yellowfin seen.
Great.
And they're not biting well yet. So there's still a chance for October and maybe in even November, depending on what happens storm-wise and water temperature-wise. But that could still click in there pretty well. So we'll see what happens.
Interesting. I like that.
Yeah, no doubt. And what has been the latest from the bluefin grounds up above out to the west? I know that fish has moved around a little bit.
First of all, there's good schools and some small schools of bluefin in the 60 to 180 pound class. I believe Tanner on the trip just last week had a a 15-year-old girl catch a 185-pound bluefin.
How cool is that?
And wound it in all the way by herself.
No kidding.
Incredible.
Good for her.
And so there's a little bit of that fish around. However, a lot of the guys are spending more time on the anchor catching that fly line fish because people love the fly line.
Sure.
That bigger fish has been nighttime fish.
Okay.
And then just the last few days, there's been some 150-pound fish showing just a few miles, 20 miles outside the Coronados.
Really?
Bluefin.
Wow.
So, it looks to me, depending on the weather, that November and December could be pretty phenomenal.
Back in play, for sure.
I'm afraid to even say anything anymore because earlier this year I said we were going to have yellowfin in June, and here it is October, and we still don't have it.
What do you think held that stuff from moving north?
Cooler water.
Okay.
Cooler water, especially a block of cold water in the 28 block, not 28, 29 block. In other words, between Cedrus and Geronimo. I think that's what kept it, because it was all the way up just above Cedrus in February, March.
Wow. No kidding.
I couldn't believe it. Oh, yeah.
So maybe bait, too? Anchovy?
I think it was cold, dirty water.
Yeah, okay.
I really do.
And it seemed like there was such a lack of that tropical storm activity that we're used to spinning up the coast, and it just didn't... It didn't feel like it when there was some warm water that was here in our zone, but like you said, there was a giant roadblock down below.
Well, it's just still amazing the kind of fishing. Sure, there's going to be some folks that are going to get on a trip that's a little bit slow, but you got to remember that's why it's called fishing. And but there's the majority of the trips are pretty phenomenal.
And still today, like you said, here and seeing the Shogun unload 75 beautiful grade tuna, you could pinch yourself.
What it amounts to is you're getting away for a few days, and if the chefs are doing a great job and the crew is really taking care of you, you can't help but have a wonderful time. That's all there is to it.
No doubt. The fishing that's going on right now, we've seen a lot of, at least in that daytime fishing, a lot of scaled down light line and small hooks. Has that still been a factor, and is that just bluefin in general?
It just depends who you are. Some guys will do very well on 30-pound, no problem, even 40-pound. And I talked to a guy the other day that he only had 2 fish, and he said, God, I went all the way down to 20-pound and a number 6 hook, and I still couldn't get bit.
That's almost old school.
Almost 15-pound, 12-pound on the number 8 hook used to be old school.
Hey, that was my very first bluefin.
By the way, I saw a green Pen 25 get on the boat the other day.
Oh, monofill, yeah, that's an old one.
I couldn't believe it.
That's an old one.
I had to touch it. It was so cool seeing that reel.
That's awesome.
But the old days.
That's fun.
Right. But anchor jobs and light line. And
another thing that's happening now that reminded me was, I can remember running 10-day trips, several, probably a half dozen, and one 16-day trip, and I left San Diego with no bait.
Come on.
No bait.
Wow.
And fact, Steve,
by choice
Steve
or
Loomis,
not available?
No, not by choice. They couldn't catch it.
Yeah,
and right now, bait's really tough for the guys.
I didn't know that.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Very tough. They haven't caught bait for 3 days.
Oh, my gosh.
But
and that's been a lot of years since.
Yeah. I'm just saying things. There is a cycle.
But here's the thing. In that cycle, because I can remember the years. Can you remember the year when you left with Steve Loomis?
Well, I can't tell you what year, but Steve Loomis had one of the best trips of his life. That's when they had, what was it?
Was it in the 80s?
That's when they got to Clarion.
Yeah.
And the first night they had like 5 or 6 over 300.
Oh my God!
And it was It was partially from Herb Gale giving them some bait that they caught in the net, and them catching bait themselves. And on those 10-day trips, we used to stop off Ascension, wherever we thought bait was good. And right now, you just think about it. If you had to take a night or 2 nights to catch all the 6-inch, 7-inch greenies you need, you don't think you're going to get bit on those nicer tuna?
Oh, no,
you're going to catch more nicer tuna.
For sure.
And the wahoo love them.
Yeah.
So, I can remember a trip where we were so low on bait. We made mackerel, went out to a Laos, kicked the living daylights out of them, but still ran out of bait. Had to come all the way back into Ascension, load it up again, and went out and did it over again.
Yeah.
I love
That's amazing.
And that, it's all part of fishing.
And it is. And I ask you about that because remembering back in the 12 years that I fished bait, there were a couple years that it was extremely like what you just described, 3 days without catching it. And I can remember those were some of the best fishing years. Some of the best sport fishing years.
I was just thinking some of these young captains that are wondering, what are we going to do? No,
they've never lived.
Bait's not living good. What am I going to do? You're going to go catch bait.
Yeah.
And, I still say catching bait at night is fun. Yeah. I love it.
Totally.
Especially when a return of it is production.
Stories like this always make me stop and think about how blessed we are to have Everingham brothers. Like,
they do a phenomenal.
We're talking about this. They haven't caught bait in 3 days, and it's such a shocking thing to think about. And that just goes to show you how consistent and good they are. That the fact that they didn't catch is just like a stop the presses moment. I mean, we're just so fortunate to be in a fishery that virtually every day you pull up to that dock, there's an almost unlimited amount of bait ready to go for you.
Yeah, you're right. I mean,
so often the unsung heroes, those guys they are real good at what they do.
Yeah, yep. Absolutely.
Well, as you can hear, we've got such a great show. Always so much fun having Captain Frank in here. So much to cover, too. There's great local fishing going on. Stoked to see the Liberty and the San Diego both having great scores of yellowtail lately, and obviously all that great local tuna fishing, long range. It's just going to be a very fun show, Corey.
I agree with you, Rick, and just so much to talk about. And you want to join us, you can do it via text or do it via the phone and give us a call at 213-432-1090, or you can text us via the app. You can write on the app there. It's an easy free download, and you can see right there it says text to show, and you can send us a message. It comes right to Rick and I via email. And you make sure that you do leave your name and telephone number, because at the end of the show we're going to have Frank flip a coin. And we're giving away a full-day trip on the San Diego, Rick. Speaking of the
How
San
cool
Diego,
is that?
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Giving away a full-day trip on the San Diego. And it's going to go to one lucky caller or one lucky texter. And we'll have, again, Frank flip the coin at the end of the show. And so you can join us on the phone line at 213-432-1090 or text us via the app. We're going to be right back. More with Frank Preste when we return on the Let's Talk Hookup app on the Sports Grid Radio Network.
Hi, this is Tommy the Fishmonger from Tunaville Market and Grocery and the TV show Fishmonger. I've known Yosef Husseini for over 20 years, and he's the expert when it comes to real estate. He's helped me with estate planning and multiple estate questions that the average guy like myself just doesn't understand. Yosef's not only a fellow angler, but he's an amazing realtor that specializes in helping us in the angling community find their ultimate home. If you own a home, get a free, no obligation home evaluation now online from Yosef by typing in SoCalHomeEval.com. All you do is put in your address and you'll get that report fast. Yusuf is a SoCal real estate guy to go to. He's helped me and many of my customers and family members to find what they are looking for in a home. He understands the real estate market like no other, so take it from Tommy the Fishmonger. Yusuf's the real deal when it comes to your real estate needs. Go to SoCalHomeEval.com and I'll see you at Tunaville Market and Grocery.
Here's the hot tip on the best fishing LA has to offer. 22nd Street Landing Sport Fishing in San Pedro. They are home to LA's finest open party fleet, including overnight on the Freedom, Catalina Freelance on the Pursuit, half-day trips on the Monte Carlo, and three-quarter-day trips on the Sea Angler. For your own private charter, we have the Outrider and Trueline available. There's always plenty of free parking and a fully stocked tackle store. 22nd Street Landing Sport Fishing in San Pedro. Call 310-832-8304 or on the web at 22ndstreet.com.
Seasoned long-range fishermen know that the Red Rooster 3 is the finest fishing vessels in terms of technology, design, speed, comfort, and safety. This 105-foot sport fishing yacht meets every demand for comfort while delivering an unforgettable fishing vacation. Captain Andy Cates and crew are experienced, friendly, and sincere in their desire to help you have the trip of a lifetime. Book a trip on the Red Rooster 3, and you'll be back. Trips fill fast. So check redrooster3.com or call Lee Palm Sport Fisheries at 619-224-3857.
Saturday, November 2nd is Tackle Day at Fisherman's Landing in San Diego. Seminars by saltwater expert, great deals on tackle, top tackle reps like Aftco, Psycho Pro Fluorocarbon, and incredible deals on Aftco clothing. Tackle Day at Fisherman's Landing, Saturday, November 2nd.
everyone, James Holst here with Norsk Lithium, the official battery partner of Let's Talk Hookup. Here at Norsk Lithium, we have two goals that drive who we are and what we do. The first is to make the highest quality, longest lasting lithium batteries available with a complete lineup of batteries that include 12, 24, 36 volt and starting batteries. Second, in addition to offering a 10-year warranty on all Norsk Lithium marine batteries, we provide amazing customer service before and after the sale. Check us out online at norsklithium.com. That's Norsk lithium.com, or call us at 831-232-9063. Or to see Norsk Lithium batteries in person, stop by the Trolling Motor Doctor in Lakewood or Anglers Marine in Anaheim and see why Norsk Lithium batteries should be in your boat.
No matter where the adventure takes you, we've got you powered. Norsk Lithium.
All right, welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup. And man, all the stocks got me all fired up, man. I want to get out fishing.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
Having Frank in studio is so cool, and you want to join us, 213-432-1090, or you can text us via the app.
I know we already talked about it, but that bite of yellowfin tuna just sounded like so much fun. And watching the boats go down, and you got to basically pick the way that you wanted to catch them, and hearing all the guys come back talking about, well, I had 15 on the popper, and the guy next to me, he had them all on the yo-yo jig, and we had them all. I know Carl Schmidt, who works in the ticket office with us, went down and caught them all on the skip jig, and it just sounded like just such a phenomenal thing. And that was months ago that we were talking about, and it's still good today. Yep. Unbelievable. Well, yeah, like Corey said, man, some great fishing going on, and we'd love to have you join us this morning. If you want to be a part of the show, 213-432-1090 is how you reach us this morning. Again, 213-432-1090. And again, as Corey said, one lucky caller or texter at the end of the show is going to be getting to go on a full day trip on board the San Diego out of C4 Sport Fishing. What a great year those guys have had. Captain Matt Bralla just the other day was telling us that excellent yellowtail fishing down below the islands on the pile, and sounded like a lot of yo-yo jig fish, surface iron fish as well. There's just some good fall fishing happening right now.
That's right.
All right. Well, let's talk about it, Corey. The phones are packed up. Why don't we get it started?
Let's do it. How about John? John calling from Dallas, Texas. Good morning, John.
Hi, John.
Good morning, guys. A nice day here in Texas. Finally, the heat's starting to drop. But my question to Frank is, I got a 3-day trip coming up on the Shogun, and the day before Thanksgiving, can we make that trip a 7-day?
Well, I'd like to, but the chances of us getting enough people to join a 7-day trip before Thanksgiving and being able to make it even break even, the odds are not good. So I'm sorry, I'd have to decline on that offer, but I would think you're going to have some awfully good fishing on the 3-day.
3-day trip, especially last year, boy, that trip in November, and I mean, if fish do a similar thing, that was when we had our best fishing of that extra large size fish. There was a lot of schools, a big one. And I mean, we're always quick to forget, and especially if you see, little ebbs and flows during the season. Last year did the same thing. I mean, there was a decline, and we thought the same, there was the talk of woes, like, I think it's over. And then as it happens, one night somebody had a big hit on big fish, and then we were steady as she goes for weeks on end.
Well, in response to this question, I mean, he could cancel that and get on the Let's Talk Hookup 7-day.
Sure.
Or on the Royal Polaris 10-day that leaves 2 days after Thanksgiving. There's 2 or 3 openings with the Phoenix rod trip. There are openings on all the boats.
Yeah.
Okay. Alliar has 2 trips, 3-day trips in November that have openings, and December has plenty of openings. So, if people want to go fishing, all the boats have some openings.
Yeah, spots here, spots there on virtually everything.
Right.
I'm surprised to hear 2 spots on that after Thanksgiving trip on Royal Polaris. That is traditionally one of the best times of year to be down there, and a very popular trip.
It usually is,
yeah.
But,
Sure.
Things are different every year.
And like anything, guys ready to go, and something comes up, and two people drop off, and
I think part of it comes down to the fact that fishing has been so good this year that people have got so much fish that they're wondering. I'm hearing it from guys all the time. Frank, you want fish? Because I got all I need, but I'm still going because it's too much fun.
You can't not. No doubt about it. So. Well, I had a fun text come through. It says, "Good morning, Captain Frank. Can you tell us whatever became of the possibility of a parking garage at the landing, and also how the parking situation has changed over the years? I want to give a personal thank you to everything you've done for the fishing industry. I love fishing on the Royal, Polaris, and Fisherman's Landing, and everything you've done for us."
First of all, the parking garage deal just went to heck on because of the expense. It got to be ridiculous, and the solution has been we've been able to expand the parking a fair amount, but we went to pay parking, and that made all the difference in the world, where everybody has to pay or they get towed. And what we had before was any time Joe Schmo was going to fly from San Diego to San Francisco for 1 or 2 days, or just a business trip, rather than pay $50, $60 or 2 days over $100 for parking at the airport, why not park at Fisherman's Landing and Uber down for nothing? And that has opened up a lot of parking for us. It really has.
I would say that this has been the single best year we have had in the terms of the parking situation in the now 25-plus years that I've been here. And I don't think any of us realized exactly the story that Frank mentioned, how much airport parking was taking over. You just don't know. Things are busy, parking lot's full, you assume whatever. The minute that wasn't free airport parking, it took the brakes off of the difficult parking situation like ever before. I mean, again, a super busy in August, is it tough to find a spot? Every once in a while, but it has been the best that it's ever been since I've worked here.
The same thing with Padre games when they're home games, and you want to come down here and get a parking spot if your boat's leaving at 10 at night or 7 at night. Hey, it's a lot more difficult because people are sneaking in and then Ubering from there, because it's $50 for a parking spot.
Exactly.
And then it takes you an hour to get out of there.
Frank, in 3 years, it went from $20 to $60.
Yeah, it was $60 the other day. I saw that.
No, it's $50. Where are you parking? I want to know.
The other thing that's...
You know what I did last trip? I'm going to admit it. I parked in my reserve spot here. Kathy and I Ubered down.
Yeah, we did the same thing.
Yeah.
The thing is, too, it's yes, it's a paid parking. Yes, it's this. But the other thing that's been nice is the ease of which it is to deal with it. There's a kiosk at every parking lot. You literally punch in your license plate number, how many days, throw the card, and that's it. Done deal. You don't got to worry about the receipt on the dash. It's at least a good system, and there's a lot more fisherman parking spots available today than there was in the past.
I agree with you 100%. And going into it, it was kind of like, oh, really? Is this going to happen? Like, what a pain. But as you've mentioned, in the end, it's opened up spots.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's made it available.
Yep, no doubt about it. Well, the phones are still packed up. Let's jump right back in, Corey.
How about Hills? Hills calling from Ventura. Good morning.
What's up, Hills?
Hey, good morning, guys. I was fishing with John Jensen, president of the CCA Channel Islands chapter, a couple weeks back, and he's been working for the last 3 years. I think he said that the closures out at the Channel Islands up here, Santa Cruz, etc. And he said it's looking really good. For some of the closed areas, we're going to be allowed to fish pelagics. And I was wondering if Frank's, and you guys have talked to Ken Frank or anybody about this new Chumash park, and if are they going to allow any kind of fishing in that? Because that's a huge tract of water.
I think Wayne would probably be...
best resource.
Our best answer for that one, because I mean we're down here, number one, but the Chumash is, I assume, up at the Channel Islands, correct?
Yeah, and I do know Ken Frank is working on it, and he was at a meeting recently where those people pushing to close more were stepping on their own feet.
Yeah.
So That's all I can say at this point. I don't know enough about it to open my mouth. So
same, and I heard exactly what you did. You don't want to call it a victory, but at least it was the fishermen were well organized and well represented, and again, so far so good. But I'm the same with you.
I heard there was also a group trying to close. The MLPA thing, trying to close Laguna to Dana Point.
Yeah,
I'm just not going to say anything.
Yeah, well said. That's the reason why we're so proud and happy to have a CCA that's got our back and an organization that's fighting on our behalf. Same with Sport Fishing Association in California. We're very, very lucky that we have some organized groups that are working very hard to push through and keep fighting for us. But again, appreciate the phone call very much, Hills. Let's jump in now and find out exactly what's going on with Hurricane Pete, because we got Chris from the East Cape standing by this morning to give us a little update. Our great buddy Chris from Smokey's Carrying and Cantina. What's up, Chris?
Morning, Chris.
Hey, how you guys doing, Frank, Corey, Rick? How's everything going today? Buenos dias.
It's great. Buenos dias, buddy. You still got some voice left, so again, Pete, you must have kept Hurricane Pete at least relatively under control.
Well, Hurricane Pedro did run through here, but it stirred up the water a little bit. And let me tell you, it stirred it up real nice. We saw from the tournament yesterday, we got a lot of tuna in, but we got a 150-pounder. One of the tournament boats got a 150-pounder, as well as a 35-pound Dorado, same boat. Had a 37-pound Wahoo come in. Lots of tuna, Dorado, and marlin and sailfish yesterday. So Pete had just asked me to call in and give an update. He's diving out at Cabo Pulmo this morning and didn't have signal, so he just wanted me to give you guys an update, and that's what we got going down here.
Chris, that's great news. Great. Boy, excellent to hear about that big fish. And was there much in the way of school-grade tuna that filled in along with the big boy?
Oh yeah, they weren't all just footballs, but that was just a big one. That was the one that we were writing home about. But yeah, lots of tuna. We had a lot in the 30-40 pound range. So yeah, it was a great day. Remember, I told you that the tuna bite had we only had a couple good days last week, but it really kicked in. Hurricane Pedro stirred the water up, so it was nice. So it got everything going.
That's awesome, buddy. Well, glad to hear it. Is Vaquera fishing today?
We're doing it. We're fishing tomorrow. We have a repair we're doing today. We're in the water, but we're just doing some maintenance.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad to hear it. Sounds like some great fishing to be had. Really appreciate the update on the tournament, Chris, filling in for Pete. And, boy, great job. Glad to hear there's big ones, and we'll look forward to talking to you with your normal report next Saturday.
That's right. Talk to you soon, guys.
Buddy.
Take
Thanks,
care.
Chris. Appreciate it very much.
All right.
Well,
bye-bye.
Wonder what kind of R&D Pete was doing. He's keeping tabs on the... diving and keeping track of the fish.
It's really a tough life, Pete.
All right. Well, I had a fun text come through. It says, "Hey guys, good morning and a great show. I've heard a lot of stories about strange-looking fish that are difficult to ID coming over the rails over the years, and I would have to imagine Frank has seen more than his fair share. My text question for Frank is, what is the strangest or wildest-looking fish that you've ever seen come over the rail of one of the boats you were driving?"
Oh, God. Probably the ones that just bug me the most are those slime eels.
Ugh. That's a gross thing, man.
Wrap up around the line and leave a big old goob.
They're just
snot.
Ugly. Gross. Yeah, I really haven't seen a lot of strange fish come over the rail. I know there's been some talk about that, but that are unidentifiable. Well, I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
But as far as the ugliest, it's the slime eel.
I can believe that for sure. Well, how about this text one? It says, "Good morning, boys. My question is for Captain Frank. I love hearing about the history of your career. Could you give us a little trip down memory lane and talk about your first trip to Clipperton Atoll?" That's from Mark in La Quinta.
Oh, give you a very quick. It was pretty phenomenal. It was fishing from... When we got there the first afternoon, we started catching fish right away. and also trolling up some wahoo. But as soon as it got dark, it was wide open, and it lasted the entire night. Where I remember Tom Rothery free gaffing some 150-pound tuna.
No way.
And
free gaffing.
Oh yeah, Tommy loved to do that. Yeah. He free gaffed not several, but at least 2 or 3 over 200.
Come on.
Whoa.
So, yeah, he did some stupid things. Like he made a gaff that was so good, and he put a leather strap through it and wrapped it around his wrist, and that's when I came undone with him.
That was it. He said, no, sir.
No, you're not going to either hold on without any strap, because we're not going to let you
go with it.
Now, when I got some amazing stories about Rothery. The time he tried to get a burr off the cat head. And we ended up having to take him into Ascension because he almost bled to death.
Wow, no
got
kidding.
Wrapped up. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Tommy was.
He was a wild man.
Oh, and then the saddle on the rail. Remember when he was into bucking cowboying, yeah, and he was riding the bulls. And so for practice, because he couldn't, he was on the boat all the time, that rail up top, thin rail.
Come on.
And when it was rough weather, he'd strap a saddle on there and just ride it in rough weather.
You're full of it.
No, I'm not full of it.
That's hilarious.
Never heard this story.
Oh, me neither.
Yeah,
Oh, that's great.
He did it.
That's a lot of fun. Back to the Clipperton part of it. When you guys made the trek down there, had there been sport fishing expeditions down there before, or was that the first one? And what was it?
Herb Gale was the one that got me going there.
And that was...
I had a thing to want to do strange places.
You liked the adventure part of it.
Yeah. Clipperton, and then when we did Cocos Island too.
And what kind of preparations do you do back then, other than just put a tank of bait on the boat and the boys and say, let's go? I mean,
well, you got to prep a little more than that, because you got to, especially when it comes to vegetables, you got to wrap everything in newspaper and hope that it holds.
Okay.
And
I didn't even think about the provisioning part of things.
You've got to think mainly about the safety part. Have you got everything that you could possibly have? Communication was a big problem back then, and then. Making sure you had every possible type of medicine that you could need on that type of trip.
Sure.
And that's why we had a doctor aboard. That's one of the things that let Coast Guard give me we had to have a doctor aboard, and we had to have a guy that had a big license.
Okay.
Now they let me go without it, but
communication's so much better and things like that.
Exactly.
Was the doctor? Did you happen to just have a doctor who was a passenger, or did you have to?
Doctor
to bring
was
someone?
A previous passenger. Yeah, it was a tough trip for him. All he did was fish.
Yeah, I'll bet it was a real tough one. And then how do you get the passengers for a trip like that? Going to a place that's unknown. Was it one of those things where people had that same adventure mind that you did and want to see this new place?
For years, people wanted on a Clipperton trip. The last Clipperton trip was such a disappointment. I don't know when, especially with fishing so phenomenal right now. I mean, back then you couldn't catch a 200 and 250 pound tuna here.
Sure.
3 days from the dock or 2 days from the dock. So the last trip, because of the amount of shark, and it just was a tough trip.
Yeah.
So I don't know if anybody's going to want to go back. Maybe 5 years from now.
Right.
Put together another Clipperton trip. I don't know.
Yep.
Interesting.
Cool. Well, some crazy fishing and some fun adventures on the Royal Polaris over the year. That's for sure.
I know, and all the good stories.
We had 1 year where we did 5 trips in 1 year.
To Clipperton?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Well, we were kicked out of Mexico.
Okay.
For a 4 month period because of Rollo's death. And we were not allowed to fish at the Revilla Hijeros. So Loomis and I were running to Clipperton on our 16, 17-day trips.
Incredible.
Which doesn't give you probably a ton of time down there.
No, but it was good.
But it was good. I'll bet it was.
Wow, incredible stories. We're going to come back with more. And Frank Preste and all these cool stories. And taking your calls, text, and more. We got fish reports coming up, too, when we return on the Let's Talk Hookup app and the Sports Grid Radio Network.
Gamakatsu is not just all about hooks. There's so much more, including the new Gamakatsu fillet knives. Once you try one, you'll always want more. The new tools are also very special, including the Gamakatsu braid scissors made with ceramic blades so they'll never rust. Check out the new lineup of shirts and hats, and of course, Gamakatsu fishing pliers and boxes are amazing. Gamakatsu, much more than just the best hooks. Get them at your local tackle shop or at gamakatsu.com.
Saturday, November 2nd is Tackle Day at Fisherman's Landing in San Diego. Come see seminars by saltwater experts, great deals on tackle from Shimano like Terramar rods with TC4 blank construction. Tackle Day at Fisherman's Landing, Saturday, November 2nd.
Don't be the last one to get one, especially now. The new Brutus Pacific Pro from Ace Line Hauler. You can catch more lobster and pull deeper with the Ace Line Hauler, so you can get those bugs in the boat. Easy to store and low power draw. The Ace Line Hauler is the highest quality and certainly the best on the market. Just ask a friend that has one. Get the new Brutus Pacific Pro by Ace Line Hauler today. Buy now at better fishing stores near you.
All right, it's time to talk about great gear from Shimano. You know, I couldn't help but think about all day yesterday we were talking about that great calico bass fishing and fun at Cedros, and we were talking about Tranks. And I think Tranks is such a unique reel to the Shimano lineup, especially now having reels as large as the Tranks 500, a great reel for surface iron, yellowtail, and wahoo, and casting a popper at a tuna fish, and then scaling all the way down to the small sizes like that 200, which is a great crossover reel for both fishing spotties and calico, but also right at home fishing a freshwater lure on the lake. They're great reels and a lot of smoothness and function, but also power in casting.
Absolutely, Rick. I mean, even down to the 150 for salto and for inshore surf fishing, one of my favorites for sure. Cranking power, number one.
That's such a huge part about it is power. And if you're having to fish those big crankbaits, again, an El Salto thing where you're fishing those 10XDs, to have a reel that makes that kind of power, you feel it at the end of the day. Your hand is a lot more less fatigued than something without that power.
And a lot of people don't understand what we're speaking about, power. But when you come tight on a fish, you can follow through by continuing to crank and pull on the fish and get them in. And other reels, you come tight and you're
stalemated.
You're at a stalemate.
No doubt. Check it out at your local tackle store, or for more information, check out the Shimano Tranks at Shimano.com.
Lobster season is here. It's time to gear up with the best in the business. Promar, based in SoCal. Promar knows lobster and makes everything you need to catch these tasty critters. The Promar guys are hardcore lobster fishermen and have designed the most successful hoop nets and accessories on the market, including the Ambush Series hoop net line, the original hoop net designed for SoCal lobster hooping. Visit Promar on Facebook or on the web at promarahi.com.
All right, welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup, and having so much fun in studio with Frank and all the good stories. And thank you for sharing all that stuff, Frank. And you want to join us, 213-432-1090, or you can send a text via the app and make sure you leave your name and telephone number. We're giving away a full-day trip on the San Diego.
We talked earlier about that great yellowtail fishing that the San Diego's had down at the Coronado Islands, and I want to bring your attention to a great trip. We mentioned it yesterday. It's a Let's Talk Hookup-sponsored full-day trip to the Coronado Islands on board the Liberty. It's something we haven't done before. Going to be a very cool opportunity. It's a limited load trip. It's on Wednesday, October the 16th, coming right up here this week, and it's a full-day trip. Now, this is going to be run the same way that we do all those popular two-day trips that we sponsor on board the Liberty. There's going to be lots of giveaways from Shimano, from AFTCO, from Gamakatsu, from Seagar. All of that is included. It's a full-day trip. You book right through the landing. You can call Fisherman's Landing at 619-221-8500, or you can book online right now. But it's going to be a very fun opportunity with that great fishing those guys have had. We want to do something a little different, and it's a full-day trip with all the normal sponsorship fun that you get on a longer one, but on a full day on board the Liberty. And what a great operation Taro has been providing, and Anibal. I mean, they've just taken that, I don't know what you call it, long-range class to a full-day trip. Elevated food, such a comfortable bunk. And
Taro and Anibo. Anibo's quite the fisherman. I mean, if Charles not there, don't feel you're losing anything, because the Nebo's great.
We tease him all the time and wanting to know when an Nebel's running the rig because of the great yellowtail fishing. But those guys have brought a great one, and the crew. I mean, I think the crew is so similar to something you'd find on Frank on one of your long range boats. Clean cut young gentlemen that are
several guys there that
so
I love.
Passionate.
They're real bass fishermen too. They were at El Salto with us last year. They're great guys.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So again, check that one out. Again, it's October the 16th, a full day trip on board the Liberty, sponsored by Let's Talk Hookup. It's going to be a great time. Corey, the phones are packed up. Let's jump right back into them.
Let's do it, Rick. How about Alex? Welcome to Let's Talk Hookup, Alex. Alex from San Carlos.
What's up, Alex?
Hey, good morning, guys. So I got a question on, we were talking about wahoos. I was trying to see what's the ideal setup for catching wahoos on wahoo bombs. And then I got another question for Rick. Is there any word on the Talica A and the 8 and 10 size?
Favorite wahoo rig, Frank?
Well, for me, I think I mentioned it earlier. Your favorite reel, decent retrieve rate, and 50 pound. To me, that's the secret. 50 pound.
I think a lot of us probably have an outfit that's right. It's often very similar to, or whatever you would fish for your yo-yo jig yellowtail with.
Exactly. Exactly.
A reel that's got some height to it and some speed and some power.
And something that feels good in your hand is really important, because you're going to be casting that jig at least 150 times that day.
Point.
At least that much. So it's got to be something that feels good in your hand and that you feel you can turn easy. Like, there's some reels that are really good reels and they have a great retrieve ratio and everything else, but it turning the handle fast enough isn't as smooth for me as some other reels.
Yeah,
so you got to pick a reel that feels good in your hand, and when you're turning that handle, it's comfortable.
I think that's such a good point. You could find a reel that maybe has a higher gear ratio, but it's difficult for you to turn the handle and you're not comfortable. You don't find that rhythm. You'll move the lure much faster with something that's right and does just melt into your hand, even, because of that. Frank, I know there's pros and cons to both, and there's, you could do it either way, but what is your favorite way on a wahoo bomb in regards to having spectra on the reel, or mono, all spectra, none, tie the wire right to the spectra, having a nice long top shot of mono? Like I said, I know there's multiple ways to have success, but what's Frank's favorite way to catch a wahoo?
Frank's favorite way, straight mono.
Straight mono.
That's my favorite one.
I'll tell you, it is so...
And there's plenty of people that would disagree with me, but maybe I'm old school, but that's what works for me.
And it's sure a lot more comfortable. Again, it's more comfortable in the hands, guiding that line back and forth. You're not having that spectra running through your fingers, retrieving the line.
And obviously you have some wire when you have a bomb, but when I'm using any other jig, I never use wire on it.
Okay. Because
I just feel your chances of getting bites are better, and then I also believe in supporting the tackle industry.
You are right that there sure over the years has been a trend of using a heavy piece of fluorocarbon, whether it be to a live bait or to a jig or whatever, and that seems to be something that over the years has gained a ton of popularity.
No doubt. I agree with that.
And it doesn't seem, it's not wahoo proof, but it's a little wahoo better than a piece of 50 pound would be.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. There's a lot of people that are using 100 pound little three foot piece
outside the guides thing. And I always say at the store, like, anytime you're fishing something without wire in wahoo country, at some point one may take it from you, but it's probably not going to be the first one, or it won't be everyone. And boy, you sure get a lot of bites fishing with that, whether it be straight tied or a piece of fluorocarbon, as opposed to fishing the wire.
I just don't see the sense in using light fluorocarbon.
Yeah.
When I say light, 40, 50 pound. Okay, I just don't see it. I think they're reaction bites, and you
would just straight tie to your mono at that point.
Well, that's what I would do. Yeah.
That's some good info.
That's the way I fish them, and I'm sure there's plenty of guys that would disagree with me. But what do you do, Corey?
Well, I show up at the dock and wait for Vince Otani to call me, and and pick up a wahoo just like that. But no, I've never caught a wahoo, Frank.
Honest?
Honest to God. I'd love
you need to go fishing.
Well, then that's why hearing about this fishing, it gets me fired up.
Corey and I have done 6-day and 7-day trips on the Shogun together, but it was always putting skiffs in the water and going chasing those calico bass, man. You can't take the calico bass away from Corey.
No, I know you've caught plenty of wahoo, Rick.
I find myself wavering between the two things. I think I couldn't agree with everything you said more. It is so much more comfortable winding monofilament back onto the reel nice and fast. But if I'm being totally honest, I have switched for my personal gear over to that techie whatever. I fish a Trinidad 20, and I like that little bit smaller reel. Even though it's not as tall as the Trinidad 40 or the jigger is, I like what Frank was saying, how that smaller reel fits in my hand so good. But I fish 80-pound Power Pro. I mean, right to a swivel and a little 3-foot piece of titanium wire in my wahoo bomb. And I like to change my hooks out from a real big Siwash hook to one of those sharp, little Gamakatsu Nautilus, or not Nautilus, but the Octopus 4X hook. I think a wahoo doesn't require some massive hook to get into them and keep them. I like a nice little sharp hook, and I like to wind fast. And that rig is a little bit less comfortable winding the line back and forth, and Spectra doesn't cast half as good as mono does.
That's the big thing for me.
But what I do like is it's so direct. And when I get a bite, there's no stretch. And wahoo's got that such hard jaw, bony mouth. It's not an easy hook fish to get the hook into just right. And that thing, you certainly don't get every bite. I don't want to even pretend it's like that. But what at least it felt for me in my very limited amount of knowledge, not half of what a lot of guys have, is I feel like every time I hooked one, quote unquote, I usually got them. And fishing with mono, half the times I feel like you'd fight a wahoo 3/4 of the way to the boat, and then they would fall off or whatever reason. And that straight Spectra to a little piece of wire rig for me, once I got everything tight and that fish was zipping line off the reel real good, I felt like 90% of them made it to the gaff after that. But a pretty limited sample size for me. But that's what I like.
When you think about it, you really don't need to make a long cast.
You don't.
More important than anything is letting it sink.
That was exactly what I was going to say. The savvy guy that's been on a lot of trips that always has a big pile of those things, you watch him and he's got ice running through his veins when everybody else is so excited because there's wahoo ripping around and you just had a double jig strike. 3/4 of the guy, that lure hits the water, it doesn't sink 5 feet, and they're all burning it back to the boat trying to get one. And that savvy guy is letting that thing sink way down, getting a 45-degree angle.
Yep, 50, 60 feet.
And getting them, and it's just, but it's hard. The wahoo is about the most exciting damn thing that happens. The trollers go off and the clickers and everybody's firing their bombs and you're winding as fast as you can and there's such a cool fish and the guy next to you hooks one that's zipping across the surface. You can't help but get fired up. But you see that savvy guy that lets that lure sink down a little bit, gets it coming back. Like that's the man, no doubt.
And nothing better eating.
And I will say one thing.
No, I don't know about that.
Well, I mean, they're pretty darn good eating.
You know what we do with all our wahoo? We can it all.
That's so good.
Canned, it's wonderful.
The single best canned fish there is.
Kathy she uses avocado oil. She puts 3 or 4 pieces of jalapeno on the top, and it's delicious that way. But eating it fresh, to me, I compare it to the person that loves white wine.
That's all
right. If you like halibut and white breast meat from chicken, then you like wahoo.
You asked me about catching one. I'll tell you where Corey missed his calling and catching a wahoo was about 8 years ago when I could go out on my skiff and get one and be back in bed the same night.
Yeah.
I will say this one last thing. Canned wahoo is the literally single favorite thing of our 2 young boys. Like I'm with Frank. I think it's the single best fish that you could can. We mix that up, make a little fish salad. Like if there's one thing that both the boys will just devour, it's that.
Really?
It's a favorite.
If you have a little party or a few people coming over and you mix it with a little mayonnaise and maybe maybe some pickle if that's what you like. You put a dish of it out with crackers. You won't have to wash the dish afterwards. You really don't.
It is the absolute party favorite. You're dead right. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. Well, hey, a lot of fun and some great fishing going on, Corey. It's time to hear about it.
Oh, man, we got Brian Woolley from Dayton Wharf Sport Fishing. I want to let you know that Gamakatsu is not just all about hooks. There's so much more, including the new Gamakatsu fillet knives. Once you try one, you will always want more. And the new tools are also very special, including the Gamakatsu braid scissors made with ceramic blades, so they will not rust. See your local dealer or check Gamakatsu.com. And good morning, Mr. Brian Woolley.
Hey, good morning, guys.
What's up,
Good
Woolley?
stuff in there, man. No wahoo for us this week.
Right?
Shucks.
But I might pull a piece out of the freezer and cook it up here in honor of that. That was good stuff right there.
Yeah,
but hey, for us this week, steady, just fall is here. You know, you can feel it, you can see it. Our half-day trip saw a mix of sand bass and sheephead with a few halibut kind of in our counts this week. Water temp 61 to 64, depending on kind of where we were on the coast. Some little warm spots, some cooler spots and whatnot. But a good majority of the action for us this week, you did imagine, with those fish is synonymous with fishing sinkers at the bottom. So reverse dropper loops with the live baits, some rubber lures, slowly rolled across the bottom, caught a few sand bass this week. The calico bass fishing wasn't quite as good as the sand bass fishing. Just that fish is just kind of, I think, adapting to the water temp too. But primarily sand bass on those half-day stuffs. Some nice sheephead, and for those guys fishing the shrimp and the halibut that I did mention we're catching. It's not big fish. It's like 5 to 10 pound stuff. So no big standout fish, but still it's relevant. I think just having those sinkers at the bottom is where those guys are catching that and getting the bite. The rockfish stuff has been the best bet on our 3/4 day trips. That deep water rockfish on the 14 this week was great. Anglers fishing the double dropper loop live baits had some real nice bags of quality rockfish by the end of the day. A little bit of work. We still have, of course, there's the takeover, the electric reels, but there's still the hardcore guys cranking. It's deep, but it's not undoable with us, standard tackle. So other anglers that opted to fish the jigs out there did really well too. Seemed to be the jigs in that kind of pink and blue color were the ones that got bit best for us. And then the shallow water rockfish, if you will, that stuff down there off Camp Pendleton was good as well for the reds, picasio, stuff like that for our 3/4 day guys that, a little bit more passenger count on the boat. We had to kind of dial it back and fish the beach. The days kind of midweek when we have less anglers was what allowed us to get out into that deeper water. And then over at the islands, just kind of classic mixed fare there as well. Catalina this week was bonito and bass. No real sign of any yellowtail there this week. And then over at Clemente for the Fury on his overnight trips, he saw some good bass action at Clemente. The sheephead and whitefish have been really biting over there for him. A yellowtail or two here or there for his efforts at the island. And then on his 2-day trips this week, he was out in that bluefin zone catching some of that stuff, 20 to 30-pound fish. But keeping up bluefin in their counts has been a little bit more work. Just, needing that extra time to travel and whatnot. So that's all been pretty much, like I said, on his 2-day trips. But the overnight fishing has been well worth it there at Clemente too. So full fall mode here. If you guys want to hop on a trip, we have poop net trips available. If you guys want to charter the Real Fun and get out and do some of that, that's all relevant in play as well. And just standard half-day and 3/4 day stuff. So give us a jingle here, 949-496-5794. Of course, you can hit us on the web as well at danawharf.com and make those reservations if you want to get out. Again, midweek, we've been kind of targeting that deep stuff with the lighter loads and then, standard other stuff on the other days as well. So give us a call. We'll get you out this week.
Half-day bass, some deep water cod fishing, some yellows of the island. We'll take that all day. Willie, great report as always, buddy. We'll talk to you next week.
Cool. All right. Can't wait to listen to the rest of the show. You guys have a great one.
Thanks,
we'll see you later.
Appreciate that very much.
An awesome report, and we're at the top of the hour break. We're going to be right back, not only with more Frank Preste, but we're going to come back with a surf report, too, when we return into the world headquarters and Let's Talk Hookup app and the Sports Grid Radio Network.
24 years ago, I visited this amazing place called Hawaii Archipelago. I just could not get enough of these amazing islands, natural beauty, friendly people, and phenomenal fishing. I knew I had to spend more time there. Moving forward to today, here I am, a fishing lodge owner. Hi, this is Valerie Hopridge from Queen Charlotte Safaris in beautiful Hawaii Islands, British Columbia, Canada. We are a boutique lodge just steps from the Sanskrit Harbor, offering a truly unique fishing adventure. Our fishing is world class. You will fish for king salmon, halibut, lingcod, and much more. Our fishing grounds are untouched, unspoiled, and surrounded by stunning scenery. We are dedicated to making your adventure an experience that will be a lifetime of memories. We will welcome you as friends, and you will leave as part of the Queen Charlotte Safaris family. You will come for the fishing, and you'll come back for the memories. We are booking now. Please give me a call at 1-877-815-2892 or check us out on Instagram, Facebook, or website qcsafaris.com.
Hello, this is Captain Mike Totter from Searcher Sport Fishing. Alongside my colleague, Chef Josh Evans, and our dedicated team, we invite you to join us aboard the Searcher. Our fishing trips range from 1.5 to 8 days, available May through November, and include charter options. We're committed to upholding a legacy of top-notch customer service, delicious food, and a friendly and talented crew. Book your fishing adventure online at searchersportfishing.com or call Rachel at 619-226-2403. That's searchersportfishing.com. We look forward to welcoming you aboard.
Great fishing is what Seaforth Sports Fishing in Mission Bay is all about. With free parking and fully stocked tackle shop, Seaforth Sport Fishing is a favorite among anglers. Come aboard top boats like the Aztec, Cortez, Endeavor, Apollo, Outer Limits, Elgato Doe, Pride, Polaris Supreme, Tribute, Pacifica, Pacific Voyager, and the Voyager. Plus, the new Seaforth Sea Watch in San Diego offer the finest half and full day trips available. Seaforth Sport Fishing. To charters or schedule, check seaforthlanding.com. Run by fishermen for fishermen in Mission Bay.
The fish are biting and it's time to go. Hi, this is Ben, and you will see me at my dad's shop, Dana Landing in Mission Bay, or maybe in front of the shop on my kayak. It doesn't matter if you are out there on a kayak with me, on your boat, headed out on a sport boat. Dana Landing has everything you need. We call it the one-stop shop for a great day on the water, because it truly is. Food, bait, tackle, beverages, and more. Our tackle shop, headed by John, is certainly one of the best. For freshwater tackle, nothing beats East County Bait and Tackle. These guys have the best rods and reels and the hottest lures and live bait. Our newest shop is Lemon Grove Bait and Tackle, with a great stock of both fresh and saltwater tackle right in the heart of Lemon Grove. ECBT is at the end of the 67 freeway on Mapleview and Lakeside. Lemon Grove Bait and Tackle, 94 to Broadway in Lemon Grove, and Dana Landing is next to the Dana Lawn Tramp in Mission Bay. Check out danalanding.com for more details.
Saturday, November 2nd, it's Tackle Day at Fisherman's Landing in San Diego. And it's our largest sale ever. Plenty of seminars by saltwater experts and over 20 reps from tackle manufacturers like Fishworks, Owner, Phoenix, West Coast Jiggers, and Shimano. Don't miss all the great seminars, the huge raffle to benefit Rollo Kids, the popular casting contest, and of course, the huge sale. For the best ever tackle bargains, check out Tackle Day at Fisherman's Landing, Saturday, November 2nd.
This is Captain Tim Ekstrom from the long-range vessel Royal Star. With my partners Randy Toussaint and Brian Sims, we have set the bar for the long-range fishing experience. Spring 8-day, summer 5-day, or fly-down, fly-back 11-day winter trip, we deliver the highest quality long-range voyage you will find. From our premium RSW fish storage to our top-of-the-line chefs and crew, Royal Star distinguishes itself from all others. Want to grab a spot on the Royal Star? Check us out at RoyalStarSportFishing.com or call Tracy at 619-224-4764.